podcast. And now, coming to the mic, your host, Jalen Walker.
Welcome to Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jalen Walker. If you're listening to the podcast via Spotify, Apple Music, or any other streaming platform, please make sure to check us out on YouTube and click that subscribe button. Much appreciated. Guys, UFC Vegas 33 is upon us. Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. Hall steps back into the octagon after his strikeless victory against Chris Weidman after that nasty leg snap. He will step up to the plate, or will Strickland dominate on the canvas? Also, we'll be breaking down last week's main event, Cory Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw, and that split decision victory to welcome back the former UFC champion after his 2-year suspension. We'll break it all down and much, much more. But first, a word from our sponsors at Manscape. Guys, summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? You're in luck. Our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot guy summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free international shipping with code POUND for pound. It's time to bundle up with Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. First off, the new Performance Package 4.0 includes the new Lawnmower 4.0. Their 3rd generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor. A new multi-function on and off switch can engage a travel lock and gives you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight. Did I mention this trimmer is also waterproof? In the shower or in the wild, and from your chest pubes all the way down to your ball fro, the Lawnmower 4.0 is the best trimmer for you. Remember, you can get 20% off plus free international shipping with code POUND for pound at manscape.com. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with code POUND for pound at manscape.com. Thank you, Manscaped. You can also go to www.manscaped.com/pound for pound, and that will automatically apply the coupon code to your checkout. Thank you guys at Manscaped. And guys, we got some news here. First off, I don't know what was going on last night at this MMA. It was a couple nights ago. I'm not sure the name of it. But basically, there was an outdoor MMA fight, a whole card, but it was stopped. It wasn't stopped. It should have been stopped, but it was interfered with a rainstorm. But instead of postponing the event, they kept it going. People were slipping and sliding outside, coming out of the exit and the entrance. Lots of submissions happened because guys were slipping. It was a mess. I feel like everyone that lost can file for a no contest. It was ridiculous. I believe it was the GFC. I'll post a link. I'll also be posting on my Twitter some of the clips. They are hilarious. Literally, just imagine fighting on a slip and slide. That's pretty much what these male and female athletes were doing. It was absolutely insane. Also, we've had some trash talk from Colby Covington against Dustin Poirier recently. He came after his family, his wife and his kids. In my opinion, I just think that is absolutely disgusting and not should ever come into play again, or come out of his mouth. I know that he does this for fights. I know that he does this for attention, but there's a point to where you don't need to take it to that level, to the level he put it at. Very, very frowned upon, even with Conor McGregor, of the things he was saying about Dustin's wife and all these other horrible things. Colby Covington will be fighting Kamaru Usman at UFC 268 in November, and just announced the co-main event is Justin Gaethje against Michael Chandler. Yes. UFC 268 is shaping up to be one hell of an event, and I cannot wait to see it. Some news for today's fight card. Ex-UFC champion Nico Montano, she missed weight. Or Montano, my apologies. She missed weight by 7 pounds. That's no accident. The fight has been canceled. She's well over the limit to where they could just take 30% of her purse. 7 pounds. There had to be something that had to happen. Hopefully we'll get more news coming later in the week, and actually what happened with her camp, if that was intentional, if she might have ate something that she just couldn't sweat off. I'm really curious to know, because with these professional athletes, 7 pounds is a lot, as you can see, and that's why the fight's been canceled. Another fight has been moved up on the card. We'll get to that here in a second with the fight card breakdown. But before then, I do want to break down Cory Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. First of all, welcome back, TJ. TJ suffered a horrible cut at the beginning of round 2. Split his whole eye open. I believe it was round 1 or 2. Split his whole eye open. Fight was stopped for a second. Ref checked it. Said he could continue. The blood was getting in his eyes. Cory Sandhagen was dominating in the fight. But then once the blood stopped, he just had a huge gash on his face. And then I think TJ knew he had to push and keep Cory pushing back to get a judge decision, because I think TJ knew he couldn't knock out Cory Sandhagen, and I think Cory Sandhagen was surprised he couldn't knock out TJ Dillashaw. But in the end, going into round 5, it was 2-2 in my opinion. Dillashaw kept pushing Cory back, and Dillashaw got the split decision victory for that wonderful bantamweight fight. One of the best bantamweight fights we've had this year, and so far in a long time in the UFC. But congrats to TJ Dillashaw. Cory Sandhagen, really upset. I'm a huge fan of him. I hope he can prevail further after this loss and make his way back to title contention. Some other great fights. We had Macy Barber win via decision. Adrian Yanez won via TKO in the second round against Randy Costa. And then for that co-main event, Kyler Phillips versus Ralina Paiva. Paiva took that fight in a decision in round 3. Wonderful card. UFC 32 was Vegas. UFC Vegas 32. My apologies. Congrats to all the winners. And like I said, welcome back TJ Dillashaw. As we all know, he was suspended for 2 years for performance enhancing drugs, and this was his first fight back in the UFC. He never lost the title. The title was stripped from him. He beat Cody Garbrandt for the title, and then he tested positive and they stripped the title from him. But exciting to see what's going to happen with him back in the mix at bantamweight. Really excited to see what's going on in that division. A lot of heavy hitters. A lot of heavy hitters. Actually, let me go to pull up the bantamweight rankings real quick while we're on the subject. Second. I just want to see if it's been updated. I haven't checked it. I usually am on top of this, but I haven't checked it this week to see if anything got changed. I don't believe. Where is it at? Sorry, guys. There we go. Yeah, Cory Sandhagen is now. See, this upsets me. Cory Sandhagen is now at 3. TJ Dillashaw is now. Oh, it says he's not ranked, but he's at 2 right now. So we're gonna go with TJ Dillashaw is the number 2 contender for the bantamweight title. Cory Sandhagen is now the 3rd. Rob Font 4. Jose Aldo at 5, and we still have Petr Yan at number 1. And as we know, Aljamain Sterling will be fighting Petr Yan here soon for a rematch for the bantamweight title. Right, guys, enough about the past. Let's look into the future. Byron Barberna, I believe is how you pronounce his name, versus Jason Witt. Brian, aka Bam Bam, he is 15-7. He was able to break his 2-fight skid with a recent victory. His last battle was a unanimous decision against Anthony Ivy back in September of last year. His fight resume shows that he has 10 wins by knockout, 2 by submission, and 3 by decision. Brian only fought once last year, and this is his first appearance of 2021. As I mentioned, he met Anthony Ivy last September and won big to prevail him further in the division. He picked up that unanimous decision with an unusual method of violence, but it came with huge relief after taking a beating in his last 2 fights and getting TKO'd by Vincent Luca and Randy Brown in 2019. Brian he's going to have to push for this fight because his opponent, Jason Witt, aka the Vanilla Gorilla, is no joke. Witt is coming off a first round 16-second knockout loss to Matthew Semelsberger back in March of this year. This loss snapped his previous attempt at a winning streak as he won the previous battle. His resume shows he has 3 wins by knockout, 8 by submission, and 6 by decision, and 1 by other. He's had quite an experience in just 3 UFC fights. He made his UFC debut off the back of 4 straight wins for a local promotion, but met Takashi Sato and his left hand getting knocked out in the first round. He returned 4 months later to wrap Cole Williams up in an arm triangle, but is coming off another knockout loss. He swallowed a straight right from Matthew Semelsberger after 15 seconds to suffer the 5th knockout loss of his career. See, both fighters need to win here. It is a priority for both of them, so expect a brawl. Expect them to be throwing high volume strikes. Might go to the ground, might not, but I don't see this fight going past the first or second round. Highly doubt it would get to the third, but I have Brian winning via TKO. It's a surprise, I know, but I got to take Brian. He's 15-7. I think he's hungry for this win. I think he has the firepower to put Jason Witt on his back and knock him out, and that's why I'm going with him. So we got Brian Barberina, aka Bam Bam, taking this fight via TKO. All right, Nicholas Stolz versus Jaron Goodin at the welterweight division. Nicholas is 14-4. His last appearance was his UFC debut. This will be his second fight in the UFC. His last fight, the odds were completely stacked against him, stepping up on short notice to take on Ramazan Emi. My apologies. The Russian finally threw him around the octagon. He picked up another unanimous decision victory, and it was not a good showing for Nicholas. Nicholas is very comfortable on the feet, and he's a brilliant kicker. He's also great at the grappling game. And if he can entwine that into his fighting style against Jared, I think he could really show his strengths on the ground and on the feet if he can just hit him with the pressure, hit him with a high volume of strikes, and keep Jared on his toes. Now, Jared Goodin, he's 5-3. He's stepping up on just 5 days' notice, filling in for Nicholas' previous opponent, Manuel Lazez, who was deprived of making his UFC debut due to visa issues, which is very unfortunate. I had a few fighters on the show late last year as we were dealing with COVID and stuff like that were having trouble with visa issues. So it sucks to hear that. Really not the best way to carry things. I just don't understand how some of these UFC athletes, they have notoriety. The UFC has, I'll say, manpower and leadway in some instances. And I feel like it shouldn't be that hard for these fighters to get visas. Athletes in other sports can do it so easily. I don't want to speak for all sports, but it's just a shame that he can't fight because of that. But back to Jared. He got paired with the veteran Alan Jouban on his debut and was outclassed on his debut, losing unanimous decision. And then Abubakar Nurmagomedov made it 2 unanimous decision losses in a row 4 months later in March of this year. Goodin is also a very good striker by trade. He's very compact, but he can be explosive at the same time. He's a solid, powerful striker, and he's a well-rounded fighter. So this fight looks to be on the heavy end. It could go to distance. Both these guys have an incredible takedown defense. Expect a lot of takedown attempts and a lot of takedown stops. They're going to be on their feet. This is a hard one to pick, but I got to go with Nicholas, and I think I'm going to take him win by decision. It's just too up in the air with these two fighters. They're both hungry. They're both coming off these losses, and I think it's going to go the distance, and it's probably going to go to the judges. And unfortunately, as we saw last week, the judges don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm going to say that. I'm not a judge, but I'm pretty sure I could do a better job than what they've been producing. They're shocking Twitter, the announcers, everyone around. It's just, I don't know what's going on, and I hope they get it taken care of soon. I don't know what they need to do in order to approach the situation, but this year has not been the best for judges and scoring. So fighters, I hope they can just get knockouts and just keep it pushing. You know what I mean? Like, don't let the judges, don't put it in the judges' hands. That's the best advice anybody can give these fighters at this point with the scenarios going on. But I wish both of them the best of luck, but I have Nicholas winning via decision. All right, we got Cheyenne Buys versus Gloria De Paula at the women's strawweight division. Cheyenne Buys is 5-2. A lot of people were hot on Cheyenne Buys after a unanimous decision win on the Contender Series. She impressed against Hillary Rose with a brilliant striking display, and she was awarded with a UFC debut 7 months later in March of this year. She was paired up with Kay Hansen, but she dropped out on late notice, which opened the door for Ruiz to make her debut. Buys was the favorite, but Ruiz dominated with her grappling and took pressure in keeping Buys in a headlock for long portions of the fight. Now her opponent Gloria De Paula is 5-3. Gloria De Paula 5-3 also came off her UFC debut deflated after earning a spot on the roster with a unanimous decision win on a Contender Series. She outpointed Pauline Macias in November last year and also made her debut in March. She was handed a tough fight in the form of the former Invicta atomweight champion Jin Jufrey, but she had a lot of pressure on her after losing the first 2 UFC fights. Unfortunately for De Paula, Frey put on the best performance in the octagon, grinding out a unanimous decision victory. These ladies both are high on the card because they deserve it. They have excellent records. They're aggressive fighters. De Paula is an aggressive Muay Thai fighter. And I think Buys, the Brazilian, is very aggressive, which could play into my apologies. I think De Paula is very aggressive, which could play into Buys' hands. She has the poise, she has the technique, she has the mindset to stay calm and counter and hit when she needs to hit to put De Paula out cold. And that's why I'm picking Cheyenne Buys wins this fight via TKO. All right, I apologize for my pronunciation of this name, but Kang Kwang Ho versus Rani Yaya at the bantamweight division. We're gonna go with Kang, Mr. Perfect, 18-9. Ho Kang is looking to make his 4th consecutive victory with a win here. In fact, he has gone 6-2 in his last 8 battles, with the recent decision victory coming against Pyongyang Liu back in December of 2019. His fighting resume shows he has 2 wins by knockout, 11 by submission, and 4 by decision. He has been able to land a few knockouts, but primarily he is the best on the ground. Kwang Ho Kang Like I said, he's 18-9. Finally returns after 18 months out of the game. He was on a roll well back in 2019, winning 3 fights in a row. He lost a split decision to Ricardo Ramos in 2018, which snapped another 3-fight win streak, but he responded with a submission over Teruto Ishihara, my apologies, and split decision of his own over Brandon Davis. He has some rust to shake off, I believe. He has served mandatory military service, which is recommended, or which is required in his country. That was back in 2014. He returned after 4 years to submit Guida Canetti. So this man has a heart of gold. He has a strong mindset. And this is going to be a good fight because his opponent, Randy, 27-10-1, 1-0 contest. Yae, my apologies, Randy Yae is his name. He's coming off a second-round arm triangle choke submission off of Ray Rodriguez back in March of this year. This was a much-needed victory after posing a loss and then a tie in his previous few battles. His fighting resume shows that he has 21 wins by submission and 6 by decision. As you can see, he does not play around when it comes to the ground game. Yaya has never really made any noise in the UFC, but he has only lost 2 since 2013. We expect him to approach this fight like all of his others and will be throwing wild, looping punches all over the place, probably be scrambling for the takedowns. The whole shebang, as I'll say. Yaya has good takedowns and pounces on the back whenever the opportunity prevails. He has 11 submissions under his belt, but he cannot afford to get triangled. So, both fighters, this is a very well matched fight. Shout out to Sean Shelby and the matchmakers and Dana White for making this fight. It's going to be a very interesting fight. My decision here can go either way. This isn't a fight I would bet on, in my opinion. I would stray away from this one or pick the over maybe. But I'm going to go ahead and take Ho Kang here, and I think he's going to win via decision. Excuse me. All right, now on to the main event. Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland at the middleweight division. Uriah Hall, primetime, 18-9. As we know, he's coming into this matchup with a 4-fight winning streak after his strikeless victory against Chris Weidman after he checked Weidman's kick and Weidman's leg snapped completely in half. One of the craziest injuries. Flashback to Chris Weidman snapping Anderson Silva's leg when Weidman checked Silva's kick. Same injury. Unfortunately, bad news. I heard that Chris Weidman's leg is not healing correctly. So prayers out to him. I hope we see him in the octagon soon. And if not, I wish the best for him in his future endeavors. He's a great dude, I've heard. I would love to get him on the show to talk to him. So Chris, if you're listening to this, hit me up. Let's do it. But his fighting resume, Uriah Hall, it's 13 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 3 by decision. He's been great on his feet. He's an explosive striker. He's very well disciplined. I love Uriah Hall. He is a very humbled guy. He knows what he can do, and he doesn't talk about it that often. He just shows it and proves it, and I love that in a fighter. He's very fast in his striking. He has a tremendous heart, and it was very hard to watch Uriah Hall check Weidman's kick and break it. You could tell it really messed him up inside. It was something that just kind of shocked him. He was feeling for him. So I hope that doesn't play in his psyche coming into this fight. Because as we know, Hall was ravaged by Paulo Costa back in 2018, handing him his 4th knockout loss. But he's on an impressive win streak right now. And I hope moving forward, he can, with this fight tonight at the middleweight division, he can keep proving that and actually show what he's actually capable of doing. Because he obviously didn't get to throw a strike his last fight. But we'll see moving into it. Like I said, Uriah Hall is a dynamic fighter, an amazing fighter, very well disciplined. So this should be a good fight going against his opponent, Sean Tarzan Strickland. He's 23-3. He has 4-fight winning streak, and he's looking to build off of. His most recent performance was a unanimous decision against, I'm going to botch his name, Krzysztof Jotko. We're going to try it once, and that's we're going to stick with it. And that was back in May of this year. You know, his fighting resume shows he has 10 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 9 by decision. As you can see, he has a fairly balanced resume, and he can pretty much win from anywhere on the canvas inside that octagon. Sean Strickland is also gaining some momentum after a spot of soul searching, I'll say, back in 2018, shortly after responding to getting knocked out by Alizu Zaleski dos Santos by knocking out Nordine Talib. He got hit by a car while riding his motorbike. It put him out for 2 years recovering from multiple injuries and knee surgery. He eased back into action in October last year with a unanimous decision over Jack Marshman, my apologies, and then made up for the loss by stepping up to fight Brendan Allen. Only 2 weeks later, he proceeded to knock him out, snapping Allen's 7-fight win streak. Strickland returned back in May and made it 4 in a row, earning a unanimous decision victory. This is a very exciting fight, very exciting stylistic matchup. You know, coming from a mediocre looking card, I'm very excited to see this fight. It will be the star fight of the night. We also have Orion Cosce from the Cosce brothers fighting in the prelims. That's also going to be a very exciting fight. I'm looking forward. As you know, here we cover the main event. But shout out Orion Cosce. Best of luck tonight. We are rooting for you. We're back to Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. Both fighters have respectable resumes. Both good fighters. Hall has a slightly negative ratio that could affect him in this fight. In addition, Hall has not been the same fighter in his recent victories, so we'll see if he can snap back into it. I'm not sure, and for that reason, I think Strickland is the stronger fighter here, and I think Strickland wins via TKO. But if Uriah Hall wins, I wouldn't be upset either. I hope the best for both fighters. The prelim card starts at 6 p.m. on ESPN at the UFC Apex. And the main card is on ESPN also, starting at 9 p.m. And like I said, those are taking place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that is UFC 33. But yeah, I'm excited for tonight. It's not the craziest card. It's a nice filler card. Hopefully with these cards, you have a lot of people trying to prove themselves. So hopefully we can get some explosive knockouts, possibly, you know what I mean, some contenders for fight of the year, knockout of the year, submission of the year, something. I'll take anything. But I'm excited for this fight tonight, for these fights tonight. I hope you guys are. Like I said, 6 p.m. prelim card and 9 p.m. for the main card, and that is Eastern Standard Time, and that is on ESPN Plus. And guys, don't forget to go to manscape.com/pound for pound, or go to manscape.com and use code pound for pound at checkout to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with code pound for pound, or go to manscape.com/pound for pound, and the promotional code will automatically be applied to your checkout. But I appreciate you guys coming through. I'm your host, Jalen Walker, and this is Pound for Pound MMA Podcast. Thanks, guys.